Hello everybody, and I'm here to talk about Wind and Truth. So chapters 25 and 26 I want to say, or are we already further? Like I'm reading them all like back to back today, so I'm really like not paying much attention to the numbers at the moment. So yeah, we'll have to see where we are. But we start off with a flashback chapter from Zed's perspective, and love them. Like the first one I was still sort of like, okay, sure, because it was like a little bit of a scene that didn't necessarily say all that much, but now, yes, give me more of this. So we have our young 11-year-old Zed, who has, in the previous flashback scene, found a new rock that sprouted. And so when he tells his family about this, they kind of have a little bit of a hesitation about what to do with this, because apparently if like two rocks sprout really close together, as is the case here, then there's a potential for it to mean that there's like more that are going to be sprouting in this area at some point in time, and then potentially they should move. So the higher ups in their society might tell them like, okay, you need to move your house because, you know, maybe there are rocks underneath there that want to come out, and so it would be unholy to stay there. And so like his father gives him that explanation, but at that point in time they see their mother arrive, and their mother is carrying a shovel, and so that is already kind of like hesitant, like, okay, what is happening here? And then it turns out that her mother went to grab a shovel with the idea that she could then move the rock to a location a little bit further away, saying that if they are spread out a little bit more, then sure, the farmer, so the higher up, will still kind of keep an eye on the area, but he won't really make them move. So Sets is like immediately kind of indignant about this idea, because, you know, they've been told all of their lives that the rocks are sacred, you cannot touch them, and here are their parents kind of like looking for loopholes, you know, saying like, yeah, but we'll wear gloves, we won't touch it, you know, we'll have the shovel move it. And Seth is just like, no, that isn't right. And then his parents basically give him the opportunity to choose. They basically say, you are the one who found the rock, so you get to choose what we do. If you say that we should move, that we keep the rock here, that we don't do anything to it, then that is what we will do. And then in the end, Seth decides to have them move the rock. And I like the quote that he says there, because like when he decides on this, when he decides that they should just move the rock, that he's not going to make them do the honorable thing, that he is going to allow this little twist of what happens, this little white lie, their reaction is definitely one of like you know, like relief. And then he has the following thing to say. No, said Seth, no, we can move the rock. All three of them relaxed as he said it, and he felt a sudden, shameful resentment. His father said Zed could choose, but they'd all clearly wanted a specific decision. He'd made it not because it was right, but because he had sensed their desires. But how could they all want it if it wasn't right? Maybe they saw something he didn't, maybe he was broken. But if so, they should have simply told him what they intended to do and then done it. That would have been fine. Why give him the choice? Didn't they see that made this his fault? And so, like many people in the reactions, I definitely think that this moment in time is a catalyst for a personality change in Zed, because we see here that he is definitely flexible, and he comes from a flexible household. His parents are living outside of town, so they're not under the like direct eye of the higher ups, of the people who are like really devout and following all of the rules and regulations, and his parents seem to be more like willing to kind of bend an ear here or there and like do things a little bit differently if that like works best for them. And so Zed himself is also willing to follow along with this, because, you know, he senses that that is what they want to do, and he isn't at that point in time all that rigorous about the rules and doing the right thing as he would later on grow to be. And so most likely this moment in which he allowed them to move this rock is going to be a catalyst for more negative stuff happening in his life, which would then will explain why he then becomes so rigorous about like the right thing to do and doing what is right. And so we then see like they're like moving the rock, and at that point in time, like they have the alarm sound because, you know, like some of the people outside of Shinovar are arriving, so they have to like kind of go and look for shelter. But they also had like to like quickly move this rock so that it doesn't like draw anybody's attention, so that nobody like realizes what they've done. Because of course, if you've just excavated a rock, you cannot just leave it out there in the open without it being like, without it drawing attention. And I liked in this section as well that, you know, there's a lot of ethics discussion within this chapter, you know, like what is the right thing to do and what are the consequences in this case, and like weighing up consequences against like what you think is the right thing to do. And he's at one point also talking to his parents like, but don't we like hate the stonewalkers, so the guys from outside of Shinovar, for disrespecting the rock, for treating the rock the way that we are about to treat it now. So I think it had an interesting discussion, and it showed us so much more again about the Shinovar way of life. And so I'm here for all these flashbacks from Zet's perspective, because I think they're going to be super fascinating. Then we go over to Shalon in the next chapter, as she has just been discovered, and so chaos kind of erupts, but it's like a much more organized chaos it seems, and like people seem to be getting away quite easily. I like the sort of like interaction between Mraize and Shalon here, where you see that Mraize is just like really proud of Shalon and of where she's come, the woman that she has become, and he kind of like playfully like loses a bolt against her, but it's like an uninfused bolt. But then the other woman, Ayatol, I still want to call her, she is raising like an anti-stormlight bolt, for which Shalon has to kind of like release all of her invested armor, because she doesn't really know what will happen to it if it were to be hit by bolts with this essence in it. So yeah, we have Shalon pierced by a bolt, like dying on the floor almost, having to refuse to draw Stormlight, because Stormlight cannot interact with anti-Stormlight, because the results of that would be disastrous. And so yeah, I don't think that there's a ton in this particular section. I enjoyed a little bit of like the reaction of Mraize to Shalon, and Shalon having figured out a way to infiltrate them, whereas he thought that like he successfully diverted her attention away, or like successfully warned her about what is to come. And they have a little bit of an interaction about the unmade and about it being not worthwhile to pursue the unmade, which I don't think is going to have any sort of impact on Mraize and his plans. And basically at the end, like when a whole ton of windrunners come in, then they make their escape using sort of like purple cloud of something. So we know from the previous chapter, because I forgot to comment on it in the previous section, that apparently Yatel and Mraize both are Radiants now, but we don't really know their power yet. So I don't know whether this was a manifestation of their power, and I just don't know enough about the powers to be able to spot what type of power that is based off of this description. But then we go back to Cal and Zet's present day timeline, and yeah, I just really love it. I like that, you know, Cal was like really interested in the story of Zet's, who wouldn't be? And so he's kind of trying to tease more out of Zet's, but Zet's is just like, this was enough talking for today. Like he's like, this is where we stop today, I am giving you nothing more. And they're basically arriving in this area where there's a little bit of a darker patch in the earth apparently, that Zet's wants to examine, because it seems to potentially indicate to the presence of an unmade, because this sort of like darker area also happened in Kholinar when Kaladin was there, and when yeah, it was Shahnat who was in Kholinar, right? When that unmade was there, this is also a manifestation of them. And that's how he then finds out truth that's telling him about it, that the monasteries were the ones who have like the honor blades. And basically it seems like there was like a monastery per honor blade, so they had honor blades for all of the radiant classes, with the exceptions of like the guy who didn't leave his honor blade behind at the Recreants, and another one, and then the herald that they're now going after, what is his name, Issue, something like that. He also has reclaimed his blade in the meantime. But so they have this sort of like chain of monasteries who are all specialized in one of the surges, and so basically Shin youths who were being trained would go on like a pilgrimage through all of these monasteries to kind of train in the art of those surges, which is really interesting. Like I'm really interested in the Shinavara culture. I think it looks so interesting. Like yeah, I just want to learn more about it. I'm so happy that's true, definitely true, that this past perspectives will get a lot more. And basically, yeah, Cal at the end is kind of like, okay, like let's not face this in the night and let's just go and start a fire, and implying that he will start a stew in order to kind of try and unlock Zetz's reluctance to talk the way that he did with Bridge 4. So we're here for a stew party. That'll be the next chapter. I'm kind of tempted to read it still tonight, but I think I probably shouldn't anymore. It's already like past 10 o'clock. I still have a few things to do as well tonight, so yeah. It won't be for tonight, and in any case, after the next section I have to stop, because after the next section I am up to date, and then yeah, I'll be gone for 2.5 weeks on holiday, so I'll only be able to start reading again on the 1st of December. So in any case, I'll have to stop tomorrow, so might as well wait until tomorrow for this final section. But so yeah, with that, I am ending my discussion of this section, and see you guys for the next one. Bye!